I'm gonna show you a massive game changer when it comes to cooking a brisket. In my opinion, the only thing difficult about cooking brisket is the timing. Think about it. If you've got a 10 to 12 hour cooking process and then you've got to wait another 2 to 3 hours for it to rest to let the juices reabsorb into those meat fibers so you end up with a nice, juicy, delicious, tender brisket, when are you supposed to start cooking this thing? All right. If you want to have brisket for dinner at 6 p.m., what are you going to do? Start cooking at 3 a.m. that same day? Or if you want to have it for lunch, you're going to start at like 11 o'clock at night the day before or something like that? It's kind of tough. So I just cooked a brisket that took 10 hours to cook, and this was the most relaxing, fun, cool, simple process for cooking a brisket that I've ever done. And actually, I think I can even shorten the time a little bit now after going through this process. You're gonna find out what I'm talking about here in just a minute. So let me show you how we did this, and here we go. Let's get to work. Okay, this is my offset smoker, nothing special, just your average big box hardware store offset smoker. Relatively inexpensive, costs about 600 bucks, no big deal. I was burning oak wood during most of the cook. I'm gonna show you how that goes. And this right here is my new Vevor warming cabinet. And this right here is what made the huge difference in this cooking process. So all we are gonna do today is we're gonna cook the brisket in that thing there. We're gonna smoke it until it reaches its temperature that I'm targeting. And then when it gets to that temperature, we're going to wrap it and let it finish cooking a little bit longer so it really breaks down the fibers in that and gets it nice and tender. And then we're gonna transfer it over to here. And this is where we're gonna let it rest. So the cooking process you're gonna see here is gonna be about 10 hours of cooking in the offset smoker. Then we gotta let it rest for another 3 hours, or indefinitely if we keep, as long as we keep the temperature above 140 degrees. So I'm going to use this warming cabinet here. I'm going to put that cooked brisket inside this warming cabinet, and we're going to let it rest in there, where it's going to slowly come down to temperature. It's going to stay well above the safe zone there, where we need to keep it at above 140 degrees, and we're going to keep it there until it's ready to eat. And that might be the next day, it could be 24 hours later or whatever, but this is going to make this process so much easier and so much more fun. Here we go. All right, down inside the offset smoker, I've got my lava lock baffle plate here installed to help manage the temperature, keep it nice and even from side to side. So we'll be using that to assist. Going to be starting off with the usual process here, just a can full of the lump charcoal. I got Jealous Devil here. There we go. Ooh, yeah, drop that in there. We're just going to use that to get started, to get the heat up to where I want it in the offset smoker. Build a little coal bed with this lump charcoal, and then I'm going to be burning pretty much what I have left here in my stockpile. I've got a mixture of some mesquite and oak. I usually just go with the oak because it's very plentiful in my area, but today I want to get rid of an old batch of mesquite that I have, so I'm going to be incorporating some of that in there too. And I'm going to let this heat up here, then we're going to make sure everything's nice and clean, and we'll be good to go. All right, smoker's up to temp. We're just over 225 degrees. The baffle plate is doing its job really well. We've got nice and even temperature from both sides. We've got our coal bed here looking really good. We got our standby pieces of wood ready to go, so we're just gonna be able to keep that fire going nicely with that mesquite and oak. And let's go ahead and get this thing loaded up with the brisket. All right, here's a brisket, 17-pound brisket. Gonna be going down seasoned with just salt and pepper. That is it. I've got my Thermo Pro wireless thermometer in here. I'm going to be using this just to help me maintain the temperature, make sure that I stay in that target range. I'm going to be cooking this at about 225 degrees average until it reaches the bark level that I really want. Probably going to be cooking at around 6 hours, maybe 7 hours. I'm not even really concerned about the interior temperature of this at that time, but I'm going to be cooking it until I get a really good looking bark there. It's probably going to end up being around 155, 165 degrees by the time it's ready to come off. And then we're going to wrap it and we're going to keep on cooking. All right, brisket is in, lid is down, and it is 9:30. All right, it's 3:30, and this brisket has been cooking for 6 hours. Okay, 3:30. And I want to show you something here. All right, so you notice the temperature right now of this brisket is an internal temperature of 156 degrees. And what is interesting here, I was guessing it was going to be around, what did I say, 150 to 160 degrees? Well, right in there. So what's interesting though, is you look at the chart here of how the temperature has been increasing. You can see where it started out here, it's been kind of steadily climbing, but now it's starting to kind of level out. That's what's happening when it's approaching what we call the stall. What's happening basically is the brisket is starting to cool itself. So just like us, when we get really hot, we start to sweat, we start to cool ourselves, and the brisket is doing the same thing. And a lot of magical stuff starts happening around 150 to 160 degrees. We start getting the fat to start to render out of it, and then pretty soon the collagen starts to break down. It's gonna make it nice and tender and soft, but also at the same time, it's starting to sweat out a bunch of its juices, trying to keep itself nice and cool. And so we don't wanna let that thing happen too long, because that will dry out your brisket. So let's check it out and see what we're talking about here. All right, let's have a look at this brisket. Oh yeah, okay. I think we're looking good, nice and pretty, but we're not ready yet. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I wanna develop a little bit more bark. We're still looking like, I just want it to be a little more black. So we're gonna develop more bark. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close this lid right now, and I'm gonna go ahead and start cranking up this fire a little bit here. We've got a log that's burning nice. I've got my standbys over here ready to go. I'm gonna add a couple more pieces of that, and I'm gonna get the temperature up to around 250 to 275. I'm gonna keep it at that range for a while, and I'm just gonna let it cook for a little while longer. What that's gonna do is it's gonna help me develop a little more bark, and it's gonna help kind of push the brisket up through that stall a little bit faster, maybe start to get it to move beyond the 165 degree range, and we'll keep on cooking to our ultimate goal, which is just over 200. All right, with a couple decent chunks in there now, we're gonna get some good fire, putting off some good heat. We're gonna get that temperature up to over 250 degrees, anywhere between 250, 275, I'm happy. We'll start pushing it through that stall. I might let it cook for another hour, maybe 2 hours. I'm just gonna keep looking at it every now and then and make sure that it is looking the way I want it to look before I get it wrapped and let it finish cooking the rest of the way. All right, so temperature is moving up nicely there. And by the way, I took my standby pieces out of the firebox there, because with a fire like that burning, they will easily catch on fire. I just got them right over here, ready and waiting for when I need them. Okay, time, it is now 4:31. It's been an hour since our last check-in, and we managed to push the temperature up to 166 degrees. So that's nice, we're pushing right through the stall. We're cooking at a temperature right now of 258 degrees. Managed to burn down quite a bit of wood there. Went through a couple sticks, and let's have a look and see how this brisket is doing now. I'm liking what I'm seeing. This is looking real good. You can see the fat starting to push through here, and man, oh gosh, it looks good, smells great. I think we're gonna go ahead and get this wrapped now, and get it back in the smoker, and we'll finish cooking it. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this in 18-inch aluminum foil. As you can see, I basically like to make a pouch, and that way I'm not really just pressing on the meat too hard, but sealing it up really nice and tight so no moisture can escape. One layer of aluminum foil really is good enough to do the job, if as long as you seal it up tightly enough. If you're not sure about it, feel free to go ahead and add a second layer. ThermoPro temp spike. Good to go. Now that the brisket's wrapped and we're not worried about the smoke flavor anymore because it's sealed up, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to lump charcoal, because this pile here will light up and burn for a long time and help me keep a nice consistent temperature. I can choke down the air as much as I want to get the temperature right where I need it to be, and we're good to go until this thing hits its target of 200 to 205 degrees. All right, it is now just after 7 o'clock, 7:08. Brisket has reached an internal temperature of 204 degrees. The offset smoker is running at a nice 255 degrees. It's been staying nice and steady with a load of charcoal and lump coal there in the firebox. Let's check out this brisket. Here we go. There it is. All right. This is beautiful. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is real good. Let's shut this off. Don't need that anymore. All right, so this is the challenge with brisket. This is the only challenge with brisket, because cooking brisket's actually really easy. We put this on at 9:30. It's almost 7:30, so it's been cooking for almost 10 hours. And but for it to really be perfect, it's got to rest. It's got to rest for about 2 to 3 hours at least. Otherwise you start losing juices. So you got to keep it warm and let it slowly come down. So it's 7 o'clock now. What are we gonna do? Wait till 10 o'clock before we can eat this thing? It's too late. We're gonna, we've moved on. It's past dinner time. So you got two choices. You can, start cooking it really early in the morning. Like I could have started this at 3 a.m. and be dog tired by the time it's dinner. If I want to have it for lunch, I got to start cooking it at midnight, or 11 o'clock the night before. That doesn't sound fun either. So I got a nice, beautiful solution for this. I'm going to show you that right now. Here's the solution. We got the Vivor warming oven here, warming cabinet. We take the brisket, and we just slide this bad boy in here. Oh, forgot I need to remove one of these shelves because this thing is a little thick. Let's get that out of the way now. Just gonna put brisket right up in there. Perfect, close that, boom, power on. Let's go ahead and set this temperature. Oh, it's right there where I want it already, 145. We'll leave it right there, and that's it. This thing is going to keep the inside of this cabinet at 145 degrees until we're ready to open it up and go to town. It's 7:15 about now. I'm thinking we're gonna have this for dinner tomorrow, so I'm just gonna leave this cooking until, I don't know, 4 o'clock or something tomorrow afternoon, or maybe we do it for lunch. I don't know, haven't decided yet, but when it's time, and we're gonna enjoy an awesome brisket. We're gonna just keep it at, all you gotta do is keep it at above 140 degrees. Another way you can do this, you can put it in a cooler, a well-insulated cooler, and I've done that a bunch of times. That's how I normally would do it in the past, but you run into issues with that. You can only keep it in there for so long before temperature starts falling, below the safe zone. You got to keep it above 140. But you can get a really high-end, expensive, insulated, holder as well, holding box. But that's probably about the same cost or even more than this guy right here. So there'll be a link to the website here or Amazon where you can find one of these. But it's fantastic. It's going to do the job. I'm just going to go relax now. We're going to do other stuff tonight. Tomorrow we're going to have our normal day. Got some yard work and stuff to do around here. And we're going to be enjoying some brisket very nicely tomorrow afternoon. And you're about to see that. All right, you can see it's just been a couple minutes and we're up to temperature. And we're just going to hold this temperature until it's time to eat. That's going to be tomorrow afternoon. Okay, it's about 3:20. It's been just over 20 hours since we put this brisket in this warming oven here. So I'm ready to pull it out and let's have a look at this thing. By the way, temperature reading up here is 147 degrees. It's been consistent all night. Oh, there we are. All right, let's get this unwrapped. All right, let's try to keep things clean. I'm gonna drop it into this tray here. It's a little deeper. There we go. Move this out of the way for now. This way we can just tear this open, pull out the temperature probe there. That is looking freaking cool. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh. Oh baby. Oh. That is tender. And right there. There we go. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Get back, Packer. Let me set this out of the way. Oh my goodness. Look at that. This is freaking crazy. Yeah? Okay. I'm not quite ready to carve this up yet. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back in the warming oven. There we go. We'll leave that in there until it's time to go. All right, it's 3:45 and it's time to carve. Let's pull this out. Oh yeah. It's pretty warm. Woo! Yeah, nice and hot. Okay, let's get this over here. Oh yeah, there we go. Get this out of the way for now. All right, let's take off this glove here and let's get temperature check. See where we are. My ThermoPro Lightning here. There we go. 151 degrees, totally safe, very perfect. Exactly what I was hoping for. Okay. I'm excited about this. Let's carve this boy. We're just gonna go ahead and cut it right down the middle so we can see what's going on inside. How about that? Ah, like butter. There we go. Dang it, beauty. Look at that. Look at that juiciness. I'm gonna give you a nice little squeeze there. I don't want to squeeze all the juice out, but look at that. Let's go ahead and get a nice slice off here. Wow, whoa, haha, super tender, falling apart. I mean, wow. You know, if you don't like your brisket that tender, just go ahead and cook it to a slightly lower temperature, but look at that, that is incredible. Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna, I gotta get a bite of this, all right? This is a really nice, pretty bark on it, and a beautiful smoke ring there. Look how thick that is. That looks nice. And yeah, let's get a piece. Here we go. Oh. My goodness. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's amazing. Wow, here we go. I'm making a mess for you guys, all right? I don't care. Here we go. I'm just gonna be a little gentle here. There we go. That is beautiful. I mean, talk about tender. Look at that. That is just crazy tender. Let me get a bite of this one right here. Look at that. You see that right there? Oh, smells amazing. Oh, that is good. Here we go, another little piece here. You know, I think the best thing about this particular cook is how relaxing it's been. You know, briskets take a long time. Like I said before, we started cooking this at about 9 o'clock in the morning. We didn't finish cooking it until about 7 o'clock later that afternoon. That's 10 hours of cooking. Then it's got to rest. I wasn't at all stressed about timing. Just gave myself plenty of time during the day to get it cooked. And it's been sitting in here until now when we're ready to just go at it and serve it. And that's the beauty of this device right here, this warming cabinet. Just made something that can be a little stressful trying to plan a brisket cook so easy. And look at the results. That's a fall apart brisket. That is incredible. I'm super happy with this. And yeah, so I'm going to review real quick what some of the questions that you might have, some of the concerns you might have with using a device like this. So we're going to review that next. But right now, I'm going to take a break and eat a bunch of this brisket. That salt and pepper, nailed it. Freaking nailed it. Okay, now that I've scarfed down a bunch of that freaking amazing brisket, I'm going to attempt to try to answer the questions you might have and kind of cover some of the concerns you might have before you have a chance to ask them. So, if you've seen enough, thank you so much for being here. This has been Tony Tone BBQ, and I appreciate you very much for watching. Please check the description of the video for links to stuff, and thank you. That's it. That's all I got to say about that now. All right, so information about this thing. This is purchased off of Amazon and relatively inexpensive. This thing costs a lot less than some of your higher end coolers and like your Yetis and other really expensive ones. So really affordable. So it's powered by electricity. All right, so let's address that concern right there. You got to make sure you have a good stable connection. If your power goes out for some reason and you come back several hours later, you're in trouble. Okay, so let's just get that out the door right away. Another thing, I left this out here all night in my backyard. My backyard is pretty secure. I also did just kind of extra secure it to make sure that there wasn't any little critters going to come by and try it again or anything like that, but I felt safe doing that here. If you don't have a secure backyard, if there's a chance that some bear or some raccoon or something might come and commandeer your brisket in the middle of the night, I do not recommend you leave it in your backyard. Maybe put it in your kitchen or in your garage or somewhere else where it's safe. So just wanted to cover that. What about the size wise? Okay, how big is this thing? So size is a valid question. My wife's like, where are we going to keep this thing? Okay, well, it is about 16.5 inches wide this way. It's about 24 inches tall, and it's about 24 inches deep. So it also weighs about 45 pounds, so not super heavy. And it's something you want to maybe store in your garage or something like that if you got a shelf where you can put it. So yeah, it takes up a little bit of space, not something you want to keep on your kitchen counter all the time, but definitely worth having. Now, and another question is, what are we going to use this thing for besides brisket? Well, I'll tell you what, we do a lot of parties. This thing has 4 shelves in it, and there's enough room in here to have slide trays of other stuff in there. This is actually coming really handy when we're doing some of those larger parties, you know, throwing your mac and cheese and whatever else you want to keep warm in there. And so I think we'll use this more often than just for the brisket. All right, does this thing automatically shut off? That's another thing. Now, your oven in your house typically is going to shut off after a certain amount of time. This thing, I've been testing it for the last 2 weeks, and I just been leaving it on for multiple days at a time, and never has it shut off. Never has it overheated or short circuited or anything like that. It's always just kept the temperature nice and consistent where I wanted it, and I've had no issues with it. It's got a couple different features on here, like it does have a countdown thing you can set. I've never dealt with that. All I did is I just set it to the temperature I wanted, and then just let it go. Just turn it on, set it to the temperature, let it go. And matter of fact, it memorizes whatever the last temperature you set it to. So if I turn it off right now, then when I turn it right back on, it goes right back to the temperature when I set it at, which is right there, 145 degrees. And also, I did monitor to see what the temperature swing is. As you might know, your oven in the house typically will have a temperature swing of a good 10 degrees or more. This one has a temperature swing of 2 degrees. I've watched it and I've recorded it. It will, if I set it to 145 degrees, it will drop down to 143 degrees. So just 2 degrees, and then it'll kick on and it'll bounce it right back up to 147 degrees. And then it will shut off and it will let the temperature come down slowly until it gets back down to 143, and it repeats that process right back up to 147. So it's always averaging right around 145 degrees, and it takes a few minutes for all that to happen too. So it takes quite a while. So solid. It's just been great. It's been very reliable, and like I said, very reasonable and affordable, and it was really easy to work with. Now, another thing that I'm gonna experiment with is this brisket that I cooked was actually a little more tender, the most tender that I've ever done. It was juicy all the way through, which was incredible, and the flavor was amazing. The bark was still consistent. It was just fantastic. Everything was great about this, but it was a bit more tender than I normally do. So I think the next time I do a brisket in this, I'm gonna try experimenting with bringing the temperature up, not quite as high as I normally go. I normally go right between 200 to 205 degrees. I think I'm gonna maybe try getting it down to maybe like 190. And then resting it, because I think this really super slow rest, because once you hit 165 degrees, all the collagen inside there starts really breaking down. You start really getting tender meat. And I think keeping it at above 165 degrees for an extended period of time just keeps breaking it down. I think that's why we ended up with more of a super tender fall apart brisket. So if I want one that's just a little bit more solid, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and take it up to like 190 and then let it come down. When we'll try that out. So that's overall gonna end up saving the cooking time. I might not even wrap it next time. I think I'll just go that route and just take it up to, like I said, around 180, 190, and then throw it in here and see what happens. So it's gonna be fun experimenting with this. Anyways, that's all I got to say about that. All the different tools I like to use, I like to put in the description of my videos. So if you're interested in anything, please check the description. There will be links there for you to check out. And like I said, I appreciate your time watching this video. Thank you so much for being here. Please let me know if you have any comments, any questions, and do my best to get back to you as quickly as possible. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Tony BBQ. Take care, my friends.